In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Qui-Gon Jinn for the Black Series 6-inch line. This is the very first release of him in the red and black packaging. I think he was figure number 40 at the time. He was actually released fairly early on in that red and black package. I think it was back in 2017, actually. And this is kind of an innovative figure. I will note one thing, the robe that you're seeing him with, this is just a custom one I bought off eBay. And it is specifically made for Qui-Gon. As you can see, it looks really good. Proportions are right. It's just the right length. If you have a Qui-Gon for your collection, I would recommend getting a robe for him. It's kind of strange that Hasbro would not include a robe with him, considering it's kind of an essential piece. And they did skimp out on a couple other accessories as well that we'll note a little bit later on in the video. So how did I get this? So I did get him back in 2017. I actually found him at a local grocery store of mine, and he's one I kind of wanted, but I didn't intend on going out my way to get. So I happened to be shopping one day, and I went down the action figure aisle, and sure enough, there was one on the pegs. And at first, I walked away, actually, and then kept on shopping. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, you know what? I know I'm going to regret it if I don't get him. So I went ahead and picked him up at the time. And I think this was still when action figures were only $20 at the time. It's incredible. It's only been a couple years even. 6 years now? It's hard to believe. But overall, it's a pretty nice action figure. There is an update of him in the Phantom Menace package. Or at least it had a 6-inch scale Phantom Menace package with the photoreal face. That one looks pretty good as well. This one did have something new about it that Hasbro was trying at the time, and that's mainly in the face there. And I know it might be kind of hard to tell, but they actually sculpted the eyes separate from the head, and they were placed in there separate. And I think to this day, this is about the only action figure they really did that with. I don't think it was a really big hit, and plus there were some problems at the time. I do recall seeing some photos on the internet where people were finding Qui-Gons at the store and they were missing eyes completely. So it's one of those things where it's like, it was a creative idea, but it just didn't really stick. What else can I say about him? Yeah, I guess we'll just take a closer look at him. I think he was one of the last action figures as well that did not have a photoreal face. And I think this was with the eye situation, I think that's what they were going for, because at this time, I think Hasbro knew they were going to be switching to photoreal or doing something new instead of painted faces. So this was just kind of an experiment on their part. As far as the head sculpt is concerned, I think it looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty close to Liam Neeson, even with the mostly painted face. The one with the photoreal, I'm not too sure what that one looks like. I haven't seen that one in person. In fact, this is probably the only time I've seen Qui-Gon in person, actually, for Black Series. I don't think he was one that was too widely available and easy to get hold of. At least in my area, he wasn't. But I don't think photoreal would really do much of an update on this. Maybe Hasbro did away with the sculpted eyes and just did the eyes on the action figure instead. Hair looks pretty good. It does have some flexibility in it. Instead of being like the 3 3/4 action figures where there's hair all around, they just have the ponytail there and then have the rest of his hair draped over his shoulders. So he does have a little bit of mobility about him. And I'll go ahead and take this robe off. And I'll show you what this looks like a little bit. Hood fits on really good as well. It drapes over his head pretty good. But yeah, highly recommended. I don't know. I got this off eBay, but I don't know if the seller I got this from still is making robes on eBay. I would have to go back and check. This came all the way from Indonesia, actually. Pretty good place. But yeah, Hasbro got very lazy on us and just included or just released Qui-Gon like this. They didn't even include his poncho from Mos Espa. His robes do look pretty good. You can tell there's some weathering involved. I think they were going for a Tatooine look with this. And he does have a cut in his skirt here, so he does have some extra flexibility. And then his legs, pretty basic, those unique boots. And they still have the pins in the knees there, as you can see. And speaking of articulation, he does have some robust articulation about him. He does have the ball joint at the neck, which despite the hair is pretty good. He can't really look up, but he can look down a little bit if you want him to. He does have hinge at the shoulders, goes about 90 degrees. Now here's something that was kind of innovative at the time. His elbows could go past 90, which is pretty good. Not something we saw too often on Black Series figures at the time. He does have hinged wrists, and a joint at the torso, of course hinge hips, swivel thigh, and then the double hinge at the knees and the rocker ankles. So really good articulation for this guy. In terms of the accessories, of course, what will Qui-Gon be without his lightsaber, which is very flimsy, as you can see. Mine's kind of bent, and there's not really much I can do about that. And similar to the 3 3/4 inch action figures, his green lightsaber blade here is more of a rod instead of having that effect to it, so I wonder if this is unique for Qui-Gon, where his lightsaber is slightly different. And his hilt here is kind of puny, actually. You can't take the blade off. Oh, having a really hard time trying to get that off. Anyway, I'll mess with that some other time, but just for display purposes here, you can attach it to his belt. I don't think I've really done it before. Yeah, it would stay there. And it does stay in the place pretty good. I have to work with that blade a little bit. It's been 6 years since I've even taken it off, I think. Oh, actually, I went ahead and got it. So that looks pretty good. And then something else that Hasbro included that hasn't really caught on in the Black Series, unfortunately, but they did try at this time, is an alternative force using hand. We haven't really got too many action figures with alternative hands over the years, and it's strange that this one Hasbro did. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to soften that joint up a little bit at some point to get that hand on, but anyway, you get the point. You can put that on and it'd be like he's gesturing using the force. Well, after working on this a little bit, I finally did manage to get the hand off, as you can see. So that is what he looks like with his force-wielding hand. Didn't want to put the robe on here real quick as well to kind of reenact that one scene where they bump into Captain Panaka and the Queen and her decoys. And he force pushes those battle droids. Let's see here. Yeah, something like that. Looks pretty good. It's almost like he's pointing at someone and be like, hey, what's going on? And get that blade off, and then now it doesn't want to go back into place properly. That's something I'll have to mess with at a different date. These robes are pretty easy to get on him. And I will note as well that he stands really good on a stand. This is one of the few Black Series action figures I got where I've had no problems displaying him on a stand at all. And he actually fits on 2 pegs instead of 1. Here's how he looks with the hood on. Not too bad. I think other than maybe the beginning of the film, we really don't see Qui-Gon without his hood. That looks really good. I will bring out a couple other figures here, just to see what he looks like side by side. Of course, what would Qui-Gon be without his apprentice, Obi-Wan Kenobi? This is actually the Figure Arts one. I never got the Black Series one. That one was... I've never seen that one in person, I don't think. And it's extremely expensive. And of course, the man that changed the course of history, Darth Maul. And they all look really good together. I have taken some pictures over the years of these 3 together. At some point I should probably post those. And of course this Darth Maul and Obi-Wan will get their own individual videos at some point. But anyways, would I recommend this Qui-Gon for your collection? I would. I think he's kind of on the expensive side these days, which is outrageous. Qui-Gon really shouldn't be that expensive of a character action figure. And he should be in circulation more often, but we know how the Black Series operates. So if you find him for a good price, yeah, I would say go ahead and get him. But I wouldn't spend a fortune for him, unless you're really into the character, that is, and you have the cash to burn. But he's nice overall. He's lacking in the accessory department. He should have like a comlink and his poncho from Tatooine, and of course a Jedi robe. At least those 3 he should include. But instead, Hasbro just gave us an alternative hand, which was an odd choice, and then his lightsaber, and that was it. It's a shame that Hasbro doesn't seem to be consistent about doing Jedi robes for their Jedi action figures. Some do, and even the ones that do, they typically don't turn out very good. Just like Plo Koon comes to mind. Well, yeah, nice figure overall. Would recommend if you can find them for a good price. Between this one or the updated one with the photoreal, I suppose that's up to you. I think this one with the painted face and the sculpted eyes is perfectly fine. Just make sure you get one that actually has eyes on him. Not too often I've seen it where he was missing the eyes. I have seen some pictures every now and then. But if you find this one, I don't think you're making a bad decision at all. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate your support. And check out some links in the description if you haven't done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.